All right. This video is going to be slightly long because I've written down the points and I'll be looking at the screen when I'll be sharing them with you. There are around 15 points. The title of the video you must have already read. It's about Indian parents and why Indian parenting is among the worst in the world. Now, um, I would recommend you listen to this at 1.5x or 2x speed when you're doing something. And if you feel I'm wrong anywhere, feel free to highlight where exactly am I wrong. Share your personal experiences and let me know what do you think. Now, one very important disclaimer that I want to put across is wait, let me write down this point before I forget. Sometimes I get a point. And then I don't remember. Okay. So, one very important disclaimer which I want to state is uh, I'm not saying all, all Indian parents are bad or all Indians are bad. And so that is one thing. The second thing is please don't, I find it very ridiculous when people say, what about Satya Nadella? What about Sundar Pichai? What about I don't know, Narendra Modi. You're giving one example in a population of 1.4 billion. Okay. So if you take the Pareto's principle, let's say 80-20, there'll always be the 20%, okay, or 200 million. Let's say in the case of India, let's say 200 million plus who have good parents, who have very supportive parents, whose parents will break an arm, sell a leg, sell their liver, their kidney, and send their children to Ivy League um, institutes. Uh, my cousin sister, who is an Indian, her husband is a Hindu. Okay, even though she is a Christian, they have sent their daughters are number one in every subject in their school, in their college. They are not at all on social media. They've never had a single boyfriend. They do not smoke. They do not drink. How do I know? Well, because I'm in touch with my cousin. I know them from a very young age. Means not very closely. And today they are in the West, and they got a full scholarship in one of the top universities in the West. Both of them, and both of them have been offered uh, a job in a multinational company. One of them tried working, she didn't like this job, so now she has currently moved to another one. And both of them have a guaranteed future. So it's not that all Indian parents are bad. There are parents who are good. And let's not forget, I'm Indian, I'm a parent. So I would like to believe I'm neither super good or neither am I super bad. I'm okay. So I want to make it clear that I'm very aware. I'm not biased. I'm not saying every single Indian, but we have a crisis. We have the majority issue. And if you want proof of this, I would say create a YouTube channel, share a few controversial views, which can be okay, I support Congress, I don't support BJP, or I support BJP, I don't support Congress, or I like this actor, I don't like the, for example, put I do not like this cricketer, or I do not like Salman Khan, or so, and just read the comments which are being put by our Indian youth, especially boys. They will be all hiding behind a fake name, which has just been created. And the language that they will use, the manner in which they'll interact with you, it will leave you shocked if you do not have the experience or do like what I do. I have created Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups before in Signal, in a Telegram, and I get all these Indian boys who don't want to reveal their identity, but the way they talk, the way they ask, the way they approach females, it's unbelievably not just shocking, not just embarrassing, it's horrifying. I've had clients who are females who tell me stories which, I mean, you can just put your hands up and say, I don't know what to say. Like, just imagine, Google search this. This is also an incident. Shushmita Sen, when she was walking, it seems, in the paparazzi, and she suddenly felt someone grab her buttock, squeeze her buttock, and she went and grabbed that guy's hand. Turned out to be a small boy, a 7 or 14-year-old young boy. And as soon as she realized this is a young boy, she could have destroyed his name, his reputation in front of everyone. And if she had told the public what he had done, maybe he would have gotten beaten up and, named and shamed forever. She took him aside and she told him, this is not acceptable. In fact, just few days ago, I saw this Instagram feed of this female. She goes to work in Bangalore. She goes to work, and as she was filming herself walking home, uh, a 10-year-old boy grabbed her tit and squeezed it. And the proof of it was just a very fast movement, but his imprint was there. And she was crying and saying, this is the state of affairs of our young men. In fact, if you check some of the um, what do you call that, female tourists who come down to India, what do what are the stories they share? Everything from that Spanish biker couple, female who got raped, to these young men flashing their private parts to Koreans or Japanese tourists. Now, like I said, it's not all the Indians who are doing that. It's a few. But always remember, just like September 11, you do not need an entire country, okay, to kill thousands. You just need one, two, and in September 11's case, you need just maybe 9 or 10 people. So one person with a gun can kill quite a number of people, and it can impact families and their families. So, in the same way, if we do not address this issue of why our youth is behaving and acting in this way, if we act like it doesn't exist, we are all going to pay a price. Because remember, end of the day, we are identified with everyone else as Indian. Okay, that is why when you have a bad tourist who visits Thailand and he is stinky or he's smelly or he is bargaining with a poor lady for a few dollars, or they steal. There have been cases where they steal or they do obnoxious things. People identify, where are you from? You're from India. And then, especially that Bali incident where these they're not poor people, educated, business, maybe they're working for good companies, and they stole the hotel toiletries, towels, accessories, decor. And the name was Indian, Indian tourists. So we need to understand the root cause of this. And the root cause why people behave like this is because their upbringing has been bad, and the upbringing is the Indian parents. Okay. So I've written down these 15 points and I'll share them with you. You let me know whether you agree, disagree. See, the first point that I've written here is not everyone is meant to be a parent. Whether you're a Westerner, whether you are from the East, whether you are Arab, whether you're wherever, um, those days are gone where, everyone had to be a parent, had to have children, had to procreate, and not just one child, have many children. Today, we live in a day and age where you could say there's a population explosion and whatever the case. But the reality is not everyone's meant to be a parent. And why do I say this? Because at least in the past, you would have a joint family. You would have the father who would go to work or hunting or wherever. Mother would stay at home, be with the child. And along with the family, you'd have a joint family. You'd have the grandmother, grandfather of the husband, grandmother, grandfather, the parents of the wife. You'd have uncles, you'd have aunties, you'd have cousins, you'd have, everyone. Today, however, you have the husband has to go to work. And because the expenses are so high, because the cost of living is so bad, inflation is there. Husband has to go to work, wife has to go to work, and then you have a child. So, who takes care of the child? Morning after the child wakes up, goes to the school, is under the school with the teachers and the friends. After school gets over, then is going for babysitting to someone else's house, or the babysitter will come to the house, and 4 5 hours will be with the babysitter with the other children. And what does the child learn? Do you think the babysitter is interested in teaching values? Do you think the babysitter is interested in upgrading in your skills? The babysitter might watch a TV or play a video game or be on the social media, and the kid will be just doing its own thing. And in very many cases, we have horrific stories of, forget physical abuse, sexual abuse. We have so many horrific stories which are being shared. In fact, me, when I was put for babysitting, the lady was old. She was a nice person, but she was always busy doing something or another. There was this other girl who was with me, and she was always playing this uh, sexually laced games like doctor, doctor. I'd be the patient, she'd be the doctor, husband, wife. And, if you know what I mean, she would say, okay, now I go to work, you go to work, okay, come, we'll sleep on the bed. And I don't want to start elaborating. And you're talking of someone who was, 4 years old, 5 years old. I still remember all this. So, you're being exposed to all this. And which is why, for my daughter, uh, I made sure that before I would have a kid, my wife would be a housewife, and she would take care of the child, be with the child, speak to the child, interact with it. Right now, as I'm making the video, my wife is with the baby. So that is what is required. So the first one is, not everyone is meant to be a parent. And the second problem is, um, people have good intentions when they want to have children. They want to give the world, they want to be a good friend, but they don't have the resources. And by resources, I'm not just talking about money, I'm talking about time. How much time does a working class man or a working class woman get to spend with the child? Do you spend time for the homework, or do you spend time reading a storybook? I mean, children need a lot more time and a lot more interaction. My daughter, when she comes from her school, oh, she can go on with stories and stories and stories. And then she brings her book and she shows the mother what she did. And then she tells her what happened. And then she shows her the laptop. So she wants to interact with my wife at least on an average 4 hours a day. So do you think a normal working couple has 4 hours a day? You'll have to cook, you'll have to clean, you'll have to prepare for tomorrow. Where do you get the time here? And then attention, effort. You also need the energy and you need to be in a mood. And I'll tell you this, taking care of a child is no child's play. Uh, why do you think I interact with the child? Very limited, because either I can focus my attention on my work, creativity, and what I'm doing, or I can be with a kid. And imagine I'm a stay at home kind of working guy, and my wife doesn't have to go to work, and we both are available 24/7 at home. Yet, I hardly get time to be with my child. So, if I was working in an office and I had to travel and I had to dress up in the morning and I had to come back late, I don't think I'd ever interact with my child. So, being a parent is very, very tough, very demanding, and the resources is more than what money can buy. Okay. Number three is, see, being a parent, you want to provide the best education, the best upbringing, the best training, the best environment. I know many parents who have literally shifted their house so that the child can be with good other friends. They have shifted their country, gone from India to Canada or Australia. They wanted to settle down there so the children can have a better future. There have even been people who have switched their roles. Like the husband has decided to stay at home because the wife can earn more. So all these sacrifices have to be made in order to provide the best for the child. But now imagine that let's say for whatever reason you decide not to, then the child is not getting some of the best in the world. Like, for example, I'll give you a very simple thing. Let's say, for example, my child says, I want to study for, go to United States and study at Harvard Business School, be at the top of the Ivy League universities, and study where the multi-millionaires or billionaires go. I don't think I'd be in a position because I'm the only one who's earning. My wife is not earning. So how do you do that? So one has to be very practical about this. So I want to send my child for swimming classes. I want to send my child for Muay Thai classes. I want to send my child for many other areas where she can develop a skill. But it's not just the money. Who's going to do it? Who's going to drive? Where do we go here? How far is it? So these are factors that many Indians, given the fact that they earn in Indian rupees, uh, it becomes impossibly hard. And India is not only overcrowded, overpolluted, it is very expensive to survive, and hardly many people save anything at the end of the day. Point number four. This one might come across as an insult, but hear me out. Most of the Indian parents are not fit to be called as role models. I'll give a very simple example. Have a look at your mother and father. Okay. Yes, they might be very good human beings. They have a good heart. They have a good character, whatever. But would you want to be exactly like your father, the way he looks, his physique, his mannerisms, his behavior? I know many of you would say the same about me. Oh, do you think Helen, my daughter, would want to be like me, tattooed and be sleeping around and all that? Yeah, that is my past, and that is who I was. And the answer is equivocal. Yes, you are right. I don't want my daughter to be like this. So I want her to have good role models, which is why she interacts with my wife more. She interacts with the sisters, my wife's sisters, and that is why I've made sure that she interacts with the Thai people more, the Thai culture more, and not the westernized style of the Thai culture. Okay. The only skills or the traits that I would like her to have of mine is maybe me being enterprising, uh, me being able to survive without working for a corporate world, me being able to be a self styled entrepreneur or businessman. Uh, you know, I have survived a very horrific childhood, being able to survive uh, some of the toughest what life has thrown at me, and overcoming suicide, overcoming depression, overcoming breakup, overcoming all the challenges from low self-esteem to not having even an education but still surviving and earning more than people who are educated. So I want, like you, if you have a child, you want to give the best to your child, same way. So what I'm saying is, the majority of parents of youngsters, if you ask them, how's your father, how's your mother, there are very many who would say, my father was a good man, my mother was a good woman, they have a good heart, they did their best to look after me. And I tell them, bless you. You're blessed to have parents like this. But the sad part comes is, what about their competence? They don't have any. What about their skills? Public speaking, networking, entrepreneurship, negotiation skills. Unless your parent is a business person, or unless your parent has been educated in some Ivy League or traveled the world, or, you know, uh, a child is not going to look up to them as a role model, which is why we look up to larger than life characters. Why do you think we admire the Avengers or WWE wrestlers or heroes from movies, Shah Rukh Khan or this film actress? Or I want to be like her, have her physique, or Adele, who's a singer, or Ed Sheeran, or we have different role models because we know that this is my passion. This is how I'd like to be. I don't want to be like my mom and dad, have a pot belly and sit at home and earn average. Let's be realistic about this. And yeah, I know that not everyone's going to have parents like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or Satya Nadella or whomsoever. But today's children, because they are being exposed to social media and the smart device, they only want the best. They want the best salaries, they want the best life, the best girl, the best spouse, the best cars. So even it comes to a role model. So which is why many youngsters, they don't listen to their parents. They don't like, respect, admire, or follow their parents. In fact, many of them consider their parents to be a headache. And I know this because so many interact with me. So number five is the question that I ask most of the adults. How can you teach your child a skill that you do not have, or a skill that you're not aware of? Let's say, for example, I want to put my child for Muay Thai classes now. I don't know Muay Thai. I don't even know how to put a punch. Like if I were to punch, I would do something like this. And people say, this is a very pansy. Even my wife doesn't know how to fight. So if we want to teach our child Muay Thai, it's like uh, trying to teach someone to swim in the middle of the ocean when you don't even know how to survive with the water that comes up to your toes. So we will have to put her with a professional Muay Thai teacher or practitioner. So in the same way, there are so many skills that the parents want to teach their child. And some of the skills are virtues, like I want my child to be successful, I want my child to be rich, I want my child to be famous, or I want my child to be mature. Now, how can you teach all these things if you're not that yourself? There are. Do me a favor. Try talking to your parents about sex. Try talking to your parents about something that is controversial. Say, I don't believe in God. Okay, and I can assure you, majority of the cases, the parents, they are not going to take it very lightly or politely or in a nice manner. They are going to respond in a way that is like they'll be horrified, shocked. They don't give them a platform or an avenue or the environment where they can talk. Like, for example, with my daughter, me and my wife, we have communicated very clearly whatever our daughter says, whatever, we will always encourage her to open up. And whatever she has done, we'll try to figure out a way how to sort things out. Whether she has say she has failed in all the subjects, or she has had a boyfriend and she had sex, or she stole something, we'll take it as it comes. And we'd always encourage our daughter to open up to us, which I don't think, even though many parents say, yeah, it's an open door communication, I don't think it is. Okay. So the point I was trying to say, how can you teach your child what you yourself are not aware of? If you don't have self esteem, if you don't have self belief, if you don't know how to carry yourself, you don't know communication, negotiation, business skills, you cannot teach these to your child. Which is why my wife wants my daughter to learn how to market, sell, talk, behave, be mentally tough, because she's not all this. I'm the one who's earning. She wants my daughter to be more like me in those traits, not the tattoos, not the bad parts. Number six, this is a sad reality of all Indian parents. That is, they focus on their name in society, their prestige, their approval among the masses, then looking good in front of others, looking good in front of other parents. Oh, my child is rank holder. My child is very smart. My child got this award. My child is number one in the school. Many parents are very worried about their image in society. And to the extent where they don't mind, even if it is detrimental to the child. Like, I speak to a lot of youngsters who are studying how to become a doctor or engineer or taken up a stream. And then they tell me, this is not what I wanted. So I'm like, did you speak to about this to your parents? Yes. But they are saying, no, you want to stay in this house, you'll do this. Others get lost. Now, I'm not encouraging people to take up social media or dancing on TikTok, because there are some mad idiots who believe that is a career path. And then there are those who believe that after college they can become a Sadguru, some kind of coach, great wise man, and advise people on marriage and others. No, I'm talking of simple, basic common sense, whereby if you are not interested in a particular subject, do not force feed them. Like if my daughter is not interested in science, I'm not going to force her to become a doctor. If she's not interested in engineering, I'm not going to push her towards engineering, where algebra, maths, and all that. If she understands the basic functions, fine. I don't want her to memorize like historical dates and figures. Um, for what? She has access to the internet, she can get it. So there are some things which should be taught, uh, like survival skills, like how to manage money, how to manage your emotions, communication. And then there are others that you don't have to focus too much on. And also, one more thing before I do forget, I'm not one of those parents who is going to ask my daughter to start a TikTok account or YouTube and do some dance and look sexy and act. And I'm not a very big fan of that, even though I'm a content creator online. Why? Because I know how short lived and how shallow and how unpredictable that nature is. I want her to develop the skills which take time to mature, time to grow. Like, for example, I talk on YouTube, I speak on YouTube, I share thoughts, ideas, opinions. People pay me money for my time. Now, this has not happened overnight, it has not happened today. I started this journey at the age of 20. At the age of 20, as to teach, train people on public speaking. And through my mistakes, I was able to learn. And because I was a student of the game, it took me from the age of 20 to the tipping point at the age of 30, I would say 31, where finally I started charging people small amounts. And now at the age of 45 onwards or 40 onwards, I'm really making a living out of it. So it has taken, one half of my entire life. So if you were to start a YouTube channel, chances are most probably you'd fail. I'm not saying because I'm better than you. It's not easy to survive. Yes, there are people who start a YouTube channel and become viral and earn 50, $100,000. But I've always believed what comes fast goes fast. So just as you need skill to learn, for example, pottery, being an electrician, being a plumber, being a like a builder, being a businessman, it takes time to learn the ins and outs. So in the same way, for me, I am very particular that my daughter learns those skills. And as the point stated, I am not looking for societal approval. I don't care what society says. I do not care if people say, "Oh, your daughter." Many people have told, your daughter is not attractive. Your daughter is not beautiful because her nose is too short. I'm like, that's perfectly fine. My daughter has come to me sometimes and she has told me her friends call her ugly. I said, that's perfectly fine. You're ugly. I'm also ugly. Mom is also ugly. We're all ugly. What matters is, are you smart? Are you hardworking? So, unlike Indian parents, I don't care what society says. I care more about, are you truly happy inside? Because I've lived my life not dying. That took me time, not dying for the approval of society, which is why my wife married me. Because if she would care about what society says, I think she would never marry someone who looks like this. Why do you think I never got an Indian wife? No Indian female in her right mind or a family would accept all this nonsense, because they are very particular of their public image. Okay. Number 7 is Indian parents. This is the Achilles heel. They do not have a mature form of communication with their children. They are either, it's more like a bully. It's like my way or the highway. What I say, you follow. That's about it. Now, I will admit that I follow the same protocol in the house. I'm the boss of the house. I'm the bread earner of the family. I'm the head of the table. I'm the CEO or whatever. But I earn that respect. And how do I earn that respect is by earning money every day and giving my wife whatever she needs, being able to provide whatever my daughter needs. If I didn't earn that, then I can't claim that I'm the king of the mountain. So my wife knows when she needs money or when she wants, even wants, she can ask me and I give. Whatever my daughter requires, whatever, how many ever books, how many ever educational toys, click of a finger, I'll purchase it. Why? Because when I was small, my parents never even give me a book. Not even a book, they didn't want to give me. So let's say, for example, she likes the Kinder chocolate. Okay. Now, instead of going driving all the way, which is sometimes risky, and it's 40 baht, 40, 45 sometimes. One day they had a promotional offer for half the price. I think I purchased around enough for 1 year. That many number of eggs. She likes the Lay's crisps just to take a bite here and there. I purchased enough for same 1 year. She likes milk, which is very nutritious. It seems to have all the vitamins, minerals. I've already paid in advance for 1 year, so I'd keep getting. So if I didn't have this kind of financial strength, I don't think they would respect me. Most of the people here, I'm not saying I'm the best parent in the world. I'm just saying that because I earn in dollars, I can afford here in Thai baht. So I'm also being smart here. So the main thing which I'm trying to tell you here is you need to earn your respect as a parent. That is important. But you shouldn't bully your children, which most of the Indian parents believe. I'm the father, and they also put the fear factor. Hey, listen to your mother, listen to your father, or without making them understand in a mature fashion. There should be that communication. You don't believe with my daughter from the age of, I think, 2 or 3. It was openly communicated to her about being naked, about having bath, that she should cover herself, about the right touch, the wrong touch. This was communicated to her. So we have this very mature understanding. And she knows when the mother says no, that's no. And obviously, there are times where she takes it for granted and then she says, I'll tell Papa. And that's enough to scare her. So it's not that I've shouted at her, screamed at her, or beaten her. She knows that, oh, Papa is the head of the family. So I think Indian parents, instead of bullying their children, they need to earn the respect of their children, which in majority of the cases, they don't do that. It's more of a bullying pattern. Number 8, which I've already spoken about, most of the children are left to the mercy of their babysitter or their friends or their parents, that is the kids grandparents, or in the worst of the worst cases with social media, they're given a tablet or they're given a smartphone, and that is the replacement for the parents. And I'll tell you, out of all of them, the most dangerous is the last one, that is giving them a smart device with the internet connection where they can literally browse anything and everything. And I'll tell you, in today's day and age, from Instagram to Facebook to even the websites, they are not child friendly. And somehow children are able to bypass. They will bypass by some way or another. So, number 8 is another problem that our youth face, which is nothing but the fault of the parents. Number 9 is most of the children, because they don't respect their parents or they don't look up to, they tend to have role models. Now, which I've told you, role models who can be the Avengers, it can be fictitious characters like those, it can be Shah Rukh Khan, Tom Cruise, it can be a female actor or actress or whatever. But herein lies the problem. Let's say someone admires Leonardo DiCaprio, and this guy, great actor, one of the most gifted individuals who has worked very hard for his success. But then, if you look at his personal life, he has been with girls who are half his age. Now, he perfectly deserves that freedom, that choice. He is not forcing anyone. But just imagine if a young man were to admire Leonardo DiCaprio, what he will see, okay, glamour, movies, big money, okay, and girls. And he is changing his partners like this. I'll also change my partners like this. So, with the good comes the bad. Let's say, for example, in the olden days, my days, we used to have guitar, band members, and they used to smoke and they used to drink. Those days, it was perfectly accepted, even if you did this in front of the media, or openly brag about I slept with 4,000, 5,000 women, like Kiss, KISS, which is a band. What's in Ron Simmons? I think he has claimed that he slept with 5,000 women. Now imagine someone admires them and he thinks this is what it is to be cool. My role models were James Bond, and I used to see him with a different woman every time, every movie. I thought that was being cool. That is your value. I I never thought your actual value is hard work because I didn't have role models for that. That is until very late in my life where I discovered people like Tony Robbins or the Jim Rohn, um, Brian Tracy. I didn't have role models. So the problem is you have Indian children looking up to Western heroes or Western lifestyle. Like, for example, Andrew Tate. How many young men admire Andrew Tate? And what is Andrew Tate famous for? I don't have to say it. And then imagine they actually copying it. Okay, we'll go to the gym, we'll be muscular, we'll be rebels, and we'll tame the bitches. So what can you say about it? No, I don't want to work under anyone. I'm like Andrew Tate. I want to be independent. I don't want to study. Study is for fools. It's part of the matrix. So from where does this lexicon or this language or this thought pattern come from? It is because you don't respect your own mother and father. You search for role models. Then uh, number 10. Um, this is deep rooted. It's invisible. You can't see it. Most of the Indian men and women grow up with scars, plenty of issues, both psychological, mental, emotional, and every possible issue that you can think of, personality disorder. Many of them have this, and they don't know what to do about it. And even more scary is when they self-diagnose. I've met many youngsters who tell me I'm ADHD. So I tell them, how do you know that? Oh, I read it online. Oh, I'm distracted. So you're distracted because anyone would be distracted with this phone. That doesn't mean you're ADHD. And then they try to medicate themselves with, I'll try to take this tablet, that tablet. And even worse is when they look at social media and boys who want to get muscles and strong and be, like have strength, they take up steroids because it's become a fashion statement to take up steroids. And what are the kind of steroids they get? Since they don't have money for A quality, that is A grade, they end up taking veterinary, that is for animals, and some of them take even fake ones, which can destroy their lives permanently. So this is a very sad thing because they have insecurities, they have psychological, mental, physical, not physical, like more of emotional issues. They try to find these shortcuts, self diagnose themselves, and that creates even more problems, which is why nowadays, even having a bad company and then you take up smoking, drinking, and the worst part, even social media for that matter, they go online, create this fake persona, start attacking and jumping on other people thinking that they are cool. You're just being a fool. You think you are doing something great online. But in the real world, if you actually see them, they don't have courage. There's like, you put a kitten in cold water, it shivers. They're like this. So they'll act very brave with an anonymous fake name. What they are doing, it's a psychological, uh, kind of restitute for them. It's a kind of it's a compensation. And it's very sad because I'll tell you, this damage continues, and by the time they realize, it's way too late because your youth, that time, will never come back again. Okay. Number 11, most Indian youth, they are taught to excel in things that they are not passionate about, or they're made forced to be passionate about it, but it doesn't give them the ROI. How many youngsters are engineers, doctors, accountants, graduates, whatever? They have given their whole lives to being the best at this field. But then if you ask them to market themselves, sell themselves, network. They don't know any of it. If you ask them, to improve on their personality, they just don't know where to start. They don't even know how to dress, groom, or present themselves. So it's a very sad reality, which many of these manipulative influencers have talked about. What is the use of getting a degree when you're not getting the ROI which can help you in your life? I mean, it's so depressing when you see someone who has spent 5 years, 10 years trying to get this degree, trying to get these marks, and then he's without a job after getting even a master's. Some of them, even IIT, IIMs, after getting the admission, the graduation, they are left unemployed and they don't know what to do about it. So, the point I'm trying to say here is many of them are taught to excel by their parents, excel in A, B, C, D, but then the ROI is completely zero. And by the time the parents are too old to answer, why did they force them? Number 12 is this is, I think, almost every Indian youngster knows. The parents have a habit of comparing you to others and naming and shaming you. My parents did this very often. They would compare me. Look at that girl. She's so disciplined. Look at that boy. He's a rank holder. Look at this girl. How well does she behave? See how people respect her. Look at this boy. How nicely he's dressed up. How smart he looks. How intelligent he is. And this makes you feel like shit. And just imagine living your whole life being compared to someone else. For me, it was my parents did this with everyone in the world who was better than me. And as if they put the blame on me. I mean, I'm a kid. Why are you blaming me? And then on top of that, I had my half brother, step brother, and they would also praise him. Me and him are pretty cool now, but at that time it caused a lot of damage. But fortunately, in my case, I used it as fuel, as fire to really make something out of my life. Then um, number 13 is uh, I don't think there is a single parent, Indian parent, who has taught their kids how the survival skills in the real world. Neither are they prepared for it, nor they know how to teach a child about it. And there is no man to man talk. There is no sit down, be practical, be realistic. Never, I have never ever met a young man who has told me, my father and mother taught me the survival skills in the real world. Unless, of course, he's the son or it's a daughter of a goldsmith or someone who's selling textile or someone who has been in the import export business or in trading, and they joined their parents right from a young age and they were taught how to walk, learn through the ropes. I don't think I've ever met. It's very rare because the parents are themselves employee minded. What will they teach their children about being enterprising? So they do not teach them anything about a real world. For example, how many youngsters know how to deal with office politics? Simple question. How many of them know? How many of them know how to talk to a member of the opposite sex? How many of them know how to deal with depression or to deal with failure? Very, very rare. These might sound very simple, but they're very important. In fact, why do you think so many youngsters don't respect their parents? Because they don't even know social media. They don't know how to operate. They don't even know how to create a email. In some cases, they don't know. They just don't know why, because they never took the interest. So how do you expect the kid to respect you when they feel I know more than you? You don't know much. Number 14 is most parents. This is another unfortunate thing. Most parents, they have kids because they think the kids are their kind of investment during their old age. In some cases, it can be a good thing, but in most cases, it's a bad thing. Where it's a good thing is where the parents literally sacrifice their entire lives. They save money, they invest in gold, property, house, everything. And then when it's time, they sell it off to ensure that the kid completes the education or is settled down in the US because they really love the child. They believe the child is an extension of themselves and they consider this is my investment, so to speak. So in that way, it is good because now you have really given your best to the child, and the child is in a position to take care of you. But where it tends to be a bad thing is when you have a child as if it's a dog, as if it's a pet, as if it's an animal. I gave you food, clothing, shelter. Now you have to take care of me. It's your duty, it's your job. And this is exactly the way my mother and father treated me. They literally abused me. If I was an animal, at least you could call animal rights. I mean, they abused me to the nth extent, and they consider it my duty that I should give them a world class life for the very fact, like my mother used to emotionally blackmail. I carried you 9 months in my womb. I, every month I'd get a salary. I'd buy clothes for you. I'd send you to school. I give you food. I give you shelter. I let you stay in the house. So go figure. When you have parents like this, you're left with such a bad taste in your mouth. You just want to get them away from your life. Um, the term that I forgot to mention, they keep children as an old age investment or retirement fund. Number 15 is you can never argue, you can never debate, you can never disagree with your parents. Although this is a catch 22, there are two sides. Sorry, there are the right word for this is it's like two sides of the coin. um, okay, if let's say a young boy or girl, I had this client where the father was a doctor, mother was a doctor, both were settled down in US, both were surgeons, and they wanted their daughters to take up this. Where's my dog barking? Okay, there are some people who are racing. Okay, uh, so the mother and father both were highly accomplished. They were surgeons. They wanted their daughters to take up something stable, like getting into the field of science. But now, because that time social media was a big thing, influencer was a key word. They both wanted to be social media influencers, start their own YouTube channel, TikTok, and Instagram, and all that bullshit. And the parents were really disturbed. And finally, because I was on Quora those days, they approached me and they said, "Could you talk some sense into our daughters?" Obviously, they were practically shocked when they saw me. They were like, "Oh, I didn't know my dad and mom kept friends like you." I said, I let them know I'm not a friend. I'm a online consultant, but this is my experience, and I give it to them. They didn't seem very convinced because young people, they don't get convinced easily. But thankfully, this story has a silver lining because after I think a period of 5 years, the father and mother both told me that they have given up that dream and now they're focusing on their PhD. So the point being is, yes, there are sometimes you should not argue with your parents. Parents have the wisdom of the ages. But then there are many cases where the parents are having good intentions, but they are very wrong. Case in point, marry this person, or oh, you're getting too old, you should marry, you should settle down, or you know, don't migrate abroad, be with us, who'll be there in our old age. So sometimes the advice that they give is so wrong that it completely destroys the person's life. And I can explicitly tell you the advice my mother gave me has impacted and destroyed my life in many fronts. I could have got the citizenship in Europe because of my mother. I had to cancel it. She said, "Oh, what will we do? You can stay as a king, be with your mother. I'll treat you always well. Why you want to, sweep the streets or drive a bus?" Had she not told me all this, I would have stuck. And I also take responsibility because I took the action. But then, day and night, when your mother coaxes you and you're suffering and you're crying, you look at that as a escape route. Then she never let me read books. She never let me go for self-improvement programs. My stepfather, one of the worst human beings, whom I really, really, I would be absolutely happy if he suffers more than anything in the world. I've never wished this bad for anyone. Both of them deserve it, but he deserves it much more. So all he did was physically abuse and torture me to the point of, literally from half an hour till almost 45 minutes to 1 hour. You'd keep hitting me until blood would come out, which I've told you in my previous videos. A coward of a man who shouldn't have been born. His own mother used to tell him, "Why are you beating this poor boy?" So, may her soul rest in peace. So, he was never a good human being. And when they cannot get you to comply, they give you emotional blackmail. Like, I look after you in my womb. You need to fear God. God said, Christianity, some of the honor your father and mother. You cannot disrespect us. So when you hear all that bullshit and you use that as your trump card, I mean, that itself makes the child hate you. I'll give you one final example. And that is, see, I'm not trying to create a rift between parents and youngsters, but these are valid, legit problems which our Indian youth are facing. Like I said right in the beginning, not everyone's meant to be a parent and should not be a parent. You really should not. If you really want, I tell some couples, it's better you adopt a dog or a cat. That is much more better. Please don't have a child because you're not ready for it. In fact, I get even more shocked when someone doesn't have the capacity to pay their own bills and they're looking forward to have their third, fourth, or fifth child. I find it so, I get so pissed off when I see some people having 11 children, 12 children. Yeah, if you have the Elon Musk kind of wealth, fine. But then, even if you have the wealth, are you there with your children? Are you spending time with them? Why do you think, for example, today's youth, especially let's say in the United States, why do you think so many are in jail? The highest number of people incarcerated in the United States, US has the highest number of people. And if you see who they are people from broken families. They are people who have had a single mother or a single father. So in the same way with our Indian parents, thankfully our Indians are not in jail, but Indians have tremendous potential, tremendous heart, tremendous capacity to contribute. But they are lost. They're completely lost and they end up being the filth of the earth. They end up being horrible human beings simply because they never had proper upbringing. And by the time they realize, it's too late. Like I see so many keyboard warriors and youngsters who keep attacking me, who keep acting smart online. They think they're doing something great. But by the time they'll realize, it's going to be too late. Like I tell them, I'm focused on me. I'm earning money. You are focused on me. You're giving me engagement. What are you getting? You're just getting relief to know that you can empty yourself and release your frustration on me. It doesn't matter. And I've told there are stalkers Indians, who have been chasing me for the past, 6 years? Instead of focusing on their education, they keep doing this. So, anyway, this has been a long, lengthy video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, whether you agree, disagree with what I have to say. And feel free to tell me where I'm wrong. Because, like I told you, all it takes is proper upbringing. You have a proper coach or a proper trainer or proper set of parents or someone in your office who can be like a father figure to you. And, if you keep searching and you keep yearning and you're obsessed about being someone and being something in life, you will succeed eventually. Anyway, one final thing. Let me know in the comments below if you watched this whole video, which is nearly an hour. And if you have, I would love to know who you are. Write down so I can remember you're that individual. And do you feel this video added any value? Just feel free, comment down below. Where you agree, disagree, also share it. Having said that, I just want to say my honest intention is our Indians develop the maturity, the emotional intelligence, the character, the personality towards being, given the respect that they duly deserve and achieve their potential. But unless there is proper guidance and proper upbringing, it's never going to happen. Good, bad, ugly, feel free, comment down below. This may sign off. You guys take care.